I was driving around the other day and my mind got ahead of me and I was thinking about how, because effectively I do personal finance. Like this isn't a investing podcast. We're not talking the best stock deals. It's a bit niche. We talk personal finance like managing your money good, getting out of debt, little investing, superannuation, property. I think lifestyle, career, and all that stuff comes into personal finance. So I'm really thinking in my personal finance life, what have I implemented that are, you could say, good financial habits? But then I was thinking, well, realistically, I always say have a strategy, however small. And then that got me thinking about what are some actual micro strategies that I've adopted in my own life that I've done year on year and had results in. So we're going to talk about that today, and we are joined by
John Pidgeon.
And I'm going to ask John some questions that popped up in the group around property, not only being a filthy capitalist pig buying investment properties, but properties that people want to buy and live in or sell or make offers on and all that stuff. So we will get into it right now. This episode is brought to you by Sphere Home Loans, and thank you for partnering. You looking at me?
Oh, I thought that was a bit rough.
Okay.
Yeah.
What part?
Just the filthy bit.
Oh, so capitalist pig?
Yeah.
Not a filthy
Not the
capitalist.
filth, yeah.
Okay, cool. I'm the filthy capitalist pig. You're just the capitalist pig. Are you all right?
Oh my God, I'm flying, yeah. I'm full noise today.
And until then, I'll try and make John feel a little bit better, and we'll get this party started right now. You're listening to M3, Australia's OG personal finance podcast. If you're new here or just passing by, welcome. Grab a drink and check out a few episodes. If you're a regular, you know the drill. Strap in and behave. We've got visitors. Please do note that everything discussed in the show is general advice only, which I'm licensed to give, and there is a full disclaimer in the comments. M3 is brought to you by our show partner, Sphere Home Loans. Whether you're buying your first home, upsizing, investing, or reviewing your mortgage, Sphere's team of trusted mortgage brokers has you covered wherever you are in Australia. Check them out via the link in the comments or just search Sphere Home Loans right now or whenever the time comes. And remember, keep it in the family. My name is Glen James, former financial advisor, and I created this show to help you with money, investing, and at times life in a practical and entertaining way. It might not be the best show in the world, but every time I record, I aim to make it the best in your world. Thank you for listening. I know you've got a choice. I appreciate it that you're here. All right. You're not a filthy capitalist pig. You're an astute wealth creation person.
That sounds much better, doesn't it?
Very astute, John.
Yeah. I'd think more an educator, to be honest, Glenn. Yep.
Well,
passionate educator. But yeah, look, each to their own. What do we got
maybe
going
I'm just
on?
becoming a lefty, like hardcore lefty.
You?
Yeah. Did you hear Adam Bant a few weeks ago?
I did.
Did you listen to it?
I listened to the short form.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah. That was enough to get the gist.
Maybe I am becoming a little bit more
it's
lefty. I don't know.
I did really want him to. I wanted you to go to the jugular once, and I was thinking. I'm trying to think where it was that it was in that.
I was. So I've had a few people like come back like, oh, you didn't ask this, and what about this, and it's like I don't have enough data in front of me, in front of mind, to react to stuff. Like the more I thought about it, when he said about these corporations paying no tax, it's actually because he mentioned ExxonMobil. And it's like, well, okay, so that's a multinational company.
Yeah.
Like if you look at the top 300 ASX companies in Australia, they're all paying tax, like in the most part, because they give dividends, they have franking credits. And so I think my whole vibe is and this goes to the philosophy where I don't know if I'm fully there with the left hard view. I just think we need to look after those who are less fortunate and need looking after.
Yeah.
But we can't have the government rule our life because the market, I think, for things to flourish and there needs to be incentive. There needs to be, I can work hard and do this. It's like, look how, you go to countries like Argentina or whatever, and you got a professor who's fully engineer qualified captain science professor driving a cab.
Yeah.
Because it's the same,
same money.
but you look at the extreme capitalism in the US and it's a freaking basket case. So that's I like that we do need to probably look at major tax reform.
Yeah.
I'm okay with shaving a little bit of CGT discount off maybe the third and fourth property or...
Yeah, and did he hint at maybe that's where it was aimed at? I don't know.
No, well, I asked him, what's your definition of rich?
Yeah.
And are you coming after mum and dad investors?
Yeah.
And I think he basically said to me that if you've got one investment property, you're not our target. It's...
Yeah.
They're like...
I'd like for him to put that in writing.
Well...
Because the thing that annoyed me was he said investors turn up to auctions and they know that they can bid higher because they get negative gearing benefits. Like that's absolute load of rubbish.
That is a long bow to draw, and it sounds good. I get it, but I did think in later. And that's the problem, right? I'm not used to pushing back on all the... I'm like thinking about but that's... Because like I said, like the value of... The amount of investors is actually a very, very small part of the population.
Totally small. Yeah.
So what... And I'm talking hopefully with Jim Chalmers, the treasurer, everyone, to come on the show.
Nice.
It might happen before this is released in April, but it might happen after this or it might not. Do you have any, even if you had 3 mini strategies or governing things that you just have in your financial life that you've just always done and it kind of drives itself and sorts itself out?
I actually wrote down 5.
Cool.
All the preparation that I do for this magnificent podcast. Call them mini, call them...
Maxi.
Major, whatever you want, in no particular order. It's not really a strategy, this one, but you've got to remain consistent. The things that you're doing on a daily basis is going to get you the long-term results. So it's a mini strategy. It's a mini thing applied daily that gives you a major result, I think, is remaining consistent in whatever you do, like not just financial, but anything. So stay consistent with your application towards finance. The second one was this is right down to the bones of work your specials. Yep. And so like whether it's, I don't know, Aldi or Coles or Woolies or online or Amazon, whatever it is, if you're after something, do your research around it, and there's times where you can get it at 50% off. Like I got a set of books from Harvard this week that are normally about $200 and I got it delivered for $120. Didn't really go looking for it, but I knew that that's what they were worth. So get some don't spend hours and hours on trying to save $3, but understanding your specials and knowing that they are needs and you're not buying something that's on special when you don't actually need it.
Yeah.
And you might just go in bulk if you can on a lot of things because that's where you can save, especially when the economy, like the cost of living has just gone through the roof. Annual autopsy on your finances, like that's a no-brainer for me, that to look in each year and say, where have we come from, where are we going? And that might just take an hour over an orange juice or a beer or whatever you like, just to do some fact checking. How much am I? What are my shares doing? What's my property worth? What interest rates am I paying? Like, how much super have I got? And you may look at this more often. And the real, I suppose, OCDs will be like looking at this sort of stuff every week. But yeah, worst case, we're annual. Am I going through? Keep going?
Yeah, go for it.
Fourth one, I am saying accounts out of sight. I think we have too much visibility on some stuff that makes us do silly things on a regular basis.
But that's no different than me not keeping ice cream in my freezer at home or
Correct.
Coca-Cola in the fridge.
Yeah.
I just don't go there
Yeah.
at all.
Don't get it in the fridge in the first spot. Yeah.
Just don't bring it home.
And when you see it on special, don't buy it.
Don't buy it.
How you going with that?
Yeah, fine.
No problems. Yeah. And it's a habit. You break it,
Yeah.
move on.
Yeah, you sneak back into it, and but
Yeah.
I've just resolved the type of, there's two. I've said this over and over again.
Yeah.
There are two types of dogs in this world. There's the dog that if you have a bowl of dog food,
Yeah.
it will just see it and consume it. You
Yes.
just keep putting food, it will just. That's one type of dog. Unfortunately, I'm that type of dog. The second type of dog is you can leave the dry food out all day and it'll just eat when it's
Yeah.
hungry.
Yeah. That's my dog.
Yeah. And what about you as a person?
I go through waves of that.
No, but gun to your head, which one is more you?
Oh, I definitely a second.
Yeah.
Yeah. Except when it comes to dairy milk chocolate.
Yeah.
I'm like the whole packet.
Yeah.
I don't leave a Tim Tam.
I mean, you'd be forgiven for doing that. It's a safe space and it's delicious.
It is very delicious.
So I'm that type of dog. So I have to be acutely aware that I can't have salt and vinegar chips in my house. I can't have ice cream. I can't have Coca-Cola.
Yeah.
I can't buy chocolate.
That's very smart to be able to. It's a really logical thing.
And because I've lost weight this year, I've gone back ice cream once a week.
So that's your treat.
Yep.
Yeah, and you look forward to it.
My soy caramel latte from Macca's.
Yeah.
Once a week.
Really? You like that?
A little treat every now and again. Never hurt anyone, did it?
Speaking of chocolate, a guy who coaches at our footy club, I reached out to him knowing full well that he was a manager for Cadbury. I said, look, how are we going? Any chance help the little kiddies with a little prize at the end of the
and the little kitty
game?
being old Pidgeon?
No. Any case, he said, mate, we'd love to. The price of cocoa has gone from $1,500 per tonne to $11,000 per tonne, so we're cutting costs left, right and centre. So if your chocolate's gone up, that's why.
Okay, so Cadbury then, they may have taken the business decision that we're not going to increase the prices huge. We're just going to absorb some of it and cut costs, aka give Pidge's football team.
A bit of both, because a block's gone from like $5 to $8 pretty quick.
Right.
And the fifth one was use tech automation. So there's a lot of things that we can be doing now that I see that people aren't doing that can be just automated, and you don't have to. There's just efficiencies that are actually going to benefit you, and some of that might be to create this out of sight, out of mind situation. But on the really basic level, it's just automatic transfers and things like that just free up your time, which ultimately gives you should give you a better financial outcome.
Yeah. So I reckon kind of some overarching big things and little that I've implemented into my financial life that have worked for me. Like, I'll start with, I've just made the rule as a micro strategy in my financial life, any home or investment property, I'm going to do principal and interest.
Yes.
Just to slow me down.
Yep.
Forced savings, not getting ahead of myself.
Always have, haven't you?
Yeah, I've just done that, which is weird because conventional financial wisdom would say, you're an idiot. Why are you doing that?
That's right.
And I'm like, shut up. I do what I want for these reasons. And
it'd be a good exercise to see if you didn't do that,
I'd spend it.
how much would have bled.
Yeah, I would have spent it. So for me, it is that forced savings.
Yeah.
I've got this overarching thing. You touched on it, like automated savings, investing, spending. Just one strategy in my life. I've got an account. There's a weekly amount that comes over to it. That's for food, fuel, going out, and that's it.
Yeah, and even like with your bank apps now that calculate how much you've spent in certain categories, like that's pretty cool. That wasn't there in 1999.
Yeah, but in the two dogs school of thought, I'm of the view I don't care what I've spent.
Yeah.
Who cares? Like, yeah, sure, it's cute to know that I spent $100 at that cafe this week, but at the end of the day, my budget and spending plan is more forward thinking.
Yes.
So it's like allocate $100 a week to that. Don't have to use my brain. It's all good.
But
and some people like to know how much they spent in post.
Yes.
Some people like me just want to know how much can I spend.
Yeah. Yeah. No, it's good. the feature of how much have I got left within that week before it ticks over again is pretty cool.
Yeah, it could be different within banks. I don't know who you bank with.
Oh, I don't know. I just saw it the other day. It's like, I think it's something set up with food or whatever.
So that's big for me. And the whole salary sacrifice to super. If you're not up to your cap and you do, like, it's just easy. Every client that I had when I was a financial advisor, they would come in, working class family, they own their home. They're like, we want to retire now. Almost $1 million in super. They didn't do anything sexy or special. Over time, salary sacrificed and built super. And there's no issues there. Another big thing is you really get results what you put your focus and attention to. Simple as that. So if there's an area of your financial life where you want to focus, you've got to put the effort in. You've got to give it time as well. And then even in our business here, what we kind of do, if we're going to try something, we'll try it for at least 3 to 6 months and then have a look. And then what you're looking for throughout that are trends. So we're trying this new system. No signs of life yet. All right, we'll just give it time. Okay, 4 months goes on. Oh, this isn't really working. 6 months, didn't work. Okay, can it? Or, we're doing this. Yeah, we're seeing these results. And that's the thing. Set up your spending plan and your bank system over a few months. Oh, my money in my bills account is building up. So that's a trend. So I look for trends over a testing period. But we're paying attention to stuff and we get results with what we put effort into. One of the big things for me, and it's a broad strategy, almost a mindset, is you can't outsave your wealth creation. And what I mean by that is I can get dishwashing tablets on sale. I can get the cheapest phone bill. At some point, it will cap out. And if I want to have a strong financial future, I need to look at the income side of the coin. So that's kind of for me. It's like, yes, pay attention and be a good steward of what you've got and how you spend. And I don't buy dishwasher tablets when they're not on sale, which AKA means that half price is the real price because they're always kind of on sale.
Yeah.
But you will cap out with expense cutting. And
yes.
So you can't outsave your wealth creation in terms of expense cutting. I'm a big believer of, big rocks in my financial life. So what are we doing with the big rocks? Your career, your house, your car, your partner and family. Like, what are those big rocks? I've said it for ages. One of the big rocks for me, because I am that type of dog, if I pull that thread and get into car loan vibe, it'll be a $200,000 freaking Merc or BMW sitting out the front. Yeah. Sure, I can afford it, but I just don't want to do that. I'll just pay cash for a car and get on with my life. And the same kind of in that big rock with that P&I is a thing in my life. So that's kind of what I was really thinking about when I was like, what are some just broad micro things that I look at or consider in my financial life? And you heard it here first, everyone. We'll be back right after this.
If you're after personal financial advice, don't get it from a podcast. If you would like help based on your own personal situation, head over to moneypodcast.com.au, click Get Help, and we'd be happy to introduce you to one of our trusted professionals. Our panel of vetted financial advisors and mortgage brokers work with people all over Australia so they can connect with you wherever you are. That's moneypodcast.com.au and click Get Help.
Before we get back into the show, I'd like to encourage you to protect your financial life. Now, what does that mean? It means having income protection insurance in place. It means having death cover in place if you do have debt or dependents. It means having your suite of personal insurances sorted. I know you insure your car. I know you insure your house. Why not insure you? I really want to encourage you to reach out to Sky Wealth. They support the podcast. They are specialist financial advisors who can look at your situation, walk through a heap of options personalized to you. It's usually far more comprehensive and competitively priced than going direct to your super fund. You must see a specialist financial advisor for your insurance insurance. You can head to sky.com.au, that's skye.com.au, to book a complimentary 15-minute chat, and the team can point you in the right direction. Like all good cults, we need a place to hang out together. That's our Facebook group. If you are going to join the Money Podcast Facebook group, just put "you heard about the group" through the podcast and put this episode number that you're listening to. That way we know that you're not a spam account. Otherwise, you can catch me on Instagram at moneypodcast.aus. Thanks so much for listening. Thanks to Sky Wealth. Let's get back into the show. Okay, we asked everyone in the Facebook group, what's the worst price hike you've seen lately? Insurance, subscriptions, groceries. What shocked you the most? I'm still shook. We just talked about all this expense carding and all that. Every time the community segment of the week, because Race just puts these in, I don't know. I literally read them as I open them.
Same.
And like last week's episode, it was about big financial events, and then we talked about the lotto win. And yeah, I don't know. I just think it's great. And I did ask everyone in the Facebook group if they like these little segments.
Do they?
Segments, yeah. Yeah.
Well,
yeah,
it's still
segments.
here, so they must.
As I get my voice back. And yeah, a lot of people liked it.
Yeah.
So we'll keep it.
So, Shania?
Yep.
Shania?
Shania.
Shania.
Yeah.
2 regular coffees, 2 regular coffees, 2 bacon and egg rolls, $47.
What airport was that?
Crazy that, isn't it?
So 2 bacon egg rolls.
So
that would be
13, like $14 max should be. 28 plus. Yeah, wow, that can't be right. 20.
Well, this is like
15. It must be $16 a bacon egg roll. 32. 50,
well, 2 regular
no,
coffees.
Not even, like
it
more.
might be $7, $14 for the coffees. We'll call it $17.
$7 for a coffee.
Yeah, I paid that. And this is it. We all bitch and moan about the price of stuff, but when it comes to little coffees here and there and bacon egg rolls, like there's not a gun to our head. We don't have to do it.
Nah, true.
But it's also annoying. But
percentage increase is high though, isn't it? In terms
oh, yeah. I'm hoping it starts to settle back down. Emily said mixed herbs, organic of course, were $17.65 the other week. So she didn't say that she purchased them, but it shocked her.
Yeah, it's like a lettuce the other day.
Yeah.
Ash, I just paid $18 for a sandwich because I was in a rush and didn't make my lunch like I usually do. That was a shock. Yeah, I had a schmozzo pie or whatever they are. They're nice, aren't they?
What are they?
Those, what are they? You see them everywhere at the cafes now, those
Shepherd's pie?
No, it's a brand, like a Chemoz or something. I don't know. I'm just
I
I'll
don't
find
know.
it.
Scott, have you bought my investing book yet to support the podcast? Insurance, 130% in 12 months.
Wow.
Yeah, that's a big one.
My insurance went down.
Which one?
My home and contents.
They probably re-rated the suburb.
It's better now. Nathan, $30 for 2 regular sized smoothies. Should have probably checked the price before they were made. Yeah, smoothies have gone through the roof.
Christy, chocolate. These little lint bunnies are $18 at Woolworths. Yes, 200 gram of bunny chocolate. This is absolute blasphemy to me since I started eating Easter eggs on Boxing Day onwards.
Oh. Matthew, houses?
With a crying emoticon. Have houses increased? Haven't noticed.
Depends where you are.
Haven't noticed.
Depends. Must be in Perth.
April, freaking cheese. Cheese. It should be a staple item.
Sean, just groceries in general. Feel like half of the items that used to cost less than $5 and now $5 are over, even on sale, quickly adds up. Paying survey prices for soft drink, chips, lollies, it's wild.
Stephanie said Disney Plus is $180 a year.
Is it?
You would have that, wouldn't you?
I don't think we have, no.
I
should know that. But
So I've got a bit of a take on that. Like, I don't have Disney, but I pay for – what do I pay for? I pay for Amazon, Stan, Prime, Netflix, Foxtel for the F1.
Apple TV.
And Apple TV. So I pay for the 6 of them, right? I think Paramount is like $90 a year or something.
Yeah.
or even if I don't even know, but I see it like, so I've just watched a few shows on Paramount, like I'm watching the new season of 1923 and I love it. So I step back and go, I've really loved that season. If they say, Glenn, do you want to watch the season of 1923, season 2, give us $90, I'll be like, yeah, I'll do it. So for me, and it's probably more because I don't have a life and I watch a lot of
We have a life.
TV. It's just boring and lonely and all that. But I think I see the value for me.
Yeah, and it's the
And like I watch the F1 and sure, Foxtel, I don't even know what it is, $59 a month or something. I get value out of it.
Yeah.
I'm just concerned that I did this reel a few weeks ago on Insta, like the Wicked movie was at the cinema and I could rent it at home for $25. I'm as a cinema lover, that concerns me.
Yeah, that's a concern. That means that they're probably not going to go there other than one-off experiences. But
anyway,
it's interesting because
it's expensive out there, peeps.
it's expensive as a Qantas flight on a Friday.
Oh, far out, $798.
Hey, you got to. Why didn't you book in advance? You know you're coming home Friday.
No. So this was the problem. I booked with Jetstar on the way home through the Qantas website.
Yeah.
Because I saw that it was busy. I got to the airport 5 minutes after the cutoff.
Ah, right.
Of the bag drop.
Yeah, okay.
And everyone was so at me on Instagram and I was being a bit dramatic and, you know, as someone said, I love it, Glenn, you put the icing on, turn it up a bit. Like, I get it. The rules with One Star are the bag drop closes 30 minutes before.
Yeah.
Again.
Used to be 45.
Well, I'm used to 40 minutes with Qantas.
Yeah.
But even Qantas will let you do it. No, yeah, plane's still here. Whatever, I'm just saying, and they said, we can't check you in. I wasn't rude to the Jetstar people. I'm like, yep, sure. I get it. It's fine. Went up to Qantas, and this is the thing that shats me to tears with this whole thing. They're like, we can put you on a flight in 5.5 hours or whatever for $90. And I'm like, okay, cool. But I didn't want it because I think everyone was going to Sydney for the Mardi Gras. Yeah. So it was just so busy. And I'm like, when it's really busy, the longer that you're spending in an airport, the higher the risk is.
Cancel.
And issues and all that. I'm like, and I want to get home. I've been in Melbourne all week. So I went up to Qantas. They couldn't help me. And I called the booking because they're like, oh no, they'll be able to sort it out online. And this is my absolute problem. With Qantas, sometimes if you miss your flight, they will put you onto a Jetstar flight.
Right.
Okay. I've not had that experience. Someone messaged me that they do that. And before that, I thought it was a code share thing. So I booked Jetstar because I've never booked One Star direct, like through Qantas. I've always done it through direct, or I just haven't in years flown with them because I just do everything Qantas. So I booked the Jetstar flight through Qantas. So I thought I'll go up to Qantas, miss the flight, gold status, if that means anything. Do they look after their customers? They can just move me onto a Qantas flight because there's still seats. Nah. But sometimes, this lady said, Qantas will move people from, if they miss a Qantas flight, onto the next Jetstar one.
Right.
So they'll co-share the other way.
The other. Yeah.
All that to say, I wanted to get home and I had to pay $798 one way from Melbourne to Sydney economy. But there was a silver lining, Johnson. There was a silver lining.
The Qantas Club?
No, it's crap. It's just a food court. The silver lining, it was a fully booked flight. I logged in on the app. They threw me in a middle seat. I couldn't even move to an aisle or a window. Fully booked flight. One person didn't show up to that flight, John. It was the aisle seat next to me.
Really?
Couldn't believe it.
Who would have thought?
So I got at least a little bit. Anyway,
There you go. Oh,
we digress.
Yes.
And sometimes you're here for it. If you're not, you've already turned this chat off. Okay.
all right.
So there was a question here, Johnson. Hey team, Ryan says, I'm looking at a property in a regional city around the 450 mark for a freestanding house. I stumbled across a property that had 2 houses on the title, i.e. not subdivided, asking 650. The 2 house one title has a great yield of 6%, and I'm thinking that creating 2 titles would increase the value of each. What am I missing? What should be considered for a property like this? I'll let you go first because I've got some legitimate questions.
Oh, I'll go ahead with them if you want.
Well, my legitimate question is a lot of the times, not always, if it could have been done, it would have already been titled and split. That's a broad statement.
Yeah. The big one for Ryan would be what are the council requirements, bylaws for subdivision, and what's the size of the block? And if it fits within that, then you might have a shout. But if it's way smaller than what it takes to subdivide in that particular council region, then that's why there's 2 houses sitting there that are on one title.
But at some point they've approved them, you would think.
Well, they can still approve a second dwelling on a property.
Right.
Like there's no issues with that. But putting them into 2 titles, totally different story. Like,
so Ryan needs to look at the rules of the day of what is between the boundary and the first residence, how much room is there for a driveway.
Yeah.
And I would say to Ryan, ring the local council and just speak to the town planner, give them the address. Most town planners, anytime I've called them, they're pretty good. They'll have a chat with you.
yeah.
I mean, their comments aren't binding, but they'll give you a good...
That's right. Yeah. So to individually title, they need to be separate meters. Everything needs to be separate and independent, and that's where the value is. And that's what Ryan's obviously looking at is a Torrens title will value and be much more I'll start talking English.
Yeah.
It'll be worth a lot more individually titled than just having the 2 properties on the one title. That's for sure. So I like his thinking. Savvy property investor, but we just need to look at, what is the land size? The width of the block is also important.
Well, that's what I was talking about, like the boundary between the fence and the house for a driveway and all that.
Yeah, so you'll have a common driveway generally when you're going to do that, and that's okay on a potentially a community title, but you would then have your Torrens title blocks.
So I think what we need to do is, with these scenarios, walk it down the garden path a little bit. So what I'm seeing is if there was 2 properties on the one title and has great yield at 6%, if the council said, never, ever, ever can that be 2 titles, would you do it? If the answer's yes, you would do it and investigate what it would take, potentially. Like you'd call the town planner, see which way the wind's blowing. If they're like, yeah, you probably have to go to this and that, you're like, oh, I think that could work. But if they're like, hard no, well, it still could be a good buy, but I can't split it. And then I think what I'm thinking is, like, if he wants to live on one and rent out the back, or is it just a complete investment property, you would buy it because it's a good yield and a good property. You would likely, for the tenants, and I know enough here to be dangerous, you'd have to probably include power and water in the rent, potentially, because how can you charge the second property if it's 1 meter on the whole thing? So there's that consideration. The rent may include power and water and internet. So that will eat into your yield if that's the case. And
6% is pretty solid.
Yeah. But I mean, and then like if council said, oh yeah, you might be able to do it, or yes, you can do it, Well, you do it and then you get the quotes because it's going to cost you $40,000 to get new power down the side, get new water, and you might put, like, you know what I mean? Like it's.
Yeah, well.
I think that being able to do it is a bonus, but if it stacks up as it is at the moment, why wouldn't you do it?
Yeah, the fundamentals of real estate need to be the same.
Yes.
Like location, what the median house price in the area, what the land value, what the raw land value is worth, what are we selling 500 square metre blocks for in that particular town? What location is it? Not on a busy street? Is it not on a major slope? Like it might not be individually titled because there's, I don't know, too much slope there, or there's a massive big tree that's heritage, or like there might be something that's separate. Tree and heritage are different, but you get my point. So
Or-
understanding the longer term outcome.
Or a non-savvy property investor was like, I'll put a second house on this, rent it out the back, and
Without approval.
Well, you'd think it'd be approved, wouldn't you?
You would think.
Well, I assume it's approved. They've gone, we'll just do this. We don't want to spend the extra money putting its own gas lines down, putting its own electricity, putting its own sewer, or probably, or whatever. So,
And understand, everyone listening in, it can change over time, the council requirements, so they are encouraging generally for more houses, more dwellings. So they could say, well, the minimum size for subdivision is 700 squares. That might change to 600 in the next 10 years. So it's something that to keep in mind as well.
but it's not necessarily a hard no. If the fundamentals stack up and you've got the budget, awesome. Because you can still put a fence up and split the two with a driveway and all that.
Well, I would have thought that'd be already the case now, but who knows? But yeah, you're asking the right questions, Ryan. It's just digging a bit deeper if you haven't done those things already.
Let's quickly do this one. Dallin, just wondering, has anyone used the before your buy, quote unquote, thing in Domain for getting pest and building inspection? Is it good, bad, trustworthy? Any watch outs? So, and we'll take about 10 seconds to answer this, but these services, they're just literally a brokerage system, and they will say, before you buy, click this button on Domain or Real Estate, and then Domain or Real Estate will farm out the job to other building inspectors and just organise it for you. Is that a fair statement?
Yeah, well, but before you buy as a company, that.
Oh, okay.
So you can go on and you either want to buy a property or you want to sell a property, and you select a service that you need.
Yeah, so it's a one-stop brokerage shop for all those things.
I would imagine that it's on Domain as a paid marketing to say,
Right.
yeah, okay, what's this? Okay, I can get a building and pest report, I can get a strata report, I can even find a buyer's agent on there. So how reliable are they? Wouldn't have a clue. But it's something like where you need to just continue to ask the key questions regardless of where you're looking for, what service.
I don't think there's any danger of it being hugely conflicted, like they're writing a report that's in the favour of the property because they want it to sell and Domain makes money. I don't think that conspiracy's there. But I've got a bit of a view on building and pest reports. You're really only getting them to see if there's anything major.
Yeah.
Because the amount of disclosures at the end of them mean that there's no recourse whatsoever.
Yeah.
You just want them to know we've been under the property with a torch, the freaking shower's leaking, we've been under the property, there's 2 foundations missing.
Yeah.
We put our head in the roof, there's white ants everywhere.
Yeah.
And there will be building and pest reports that will miss stuff.
Yeah, that's right.
But you can't hang your hat on them because there's absolutely no recourse to the inspector. And pretty much when I recently bought a car, I sent, because I got my Volvo from Queensland.
Yep.
I was looking at another one, sent out another, it was I think it was a 35 grand Volvo I looked at. I sent one of those inspection people out.
Okay.
And I said, "Oh, do you pull the wheels off and have a look at the discs and all that?"
Yeah.
And everyone's like, "No, chill out."
Yeah.
But they'll take it for a drive. They will tell you if there's anything major, or they said, "Oh yeah, the back panel's had a ding here," but I can't really hang my hat on it.
No, and they're not going to tell you need to buy this Volvo or not.
No. But then I ended up buying the $22,000 Volvo, and I'm just like, stuff it. I'll just buy it. And I didn't bother getting an inspection.
Yeah.
I did the report to make sure it was unencumbered and all that, and I got them to send me a photo because they had a mechanic. I'm like, send me a video or photo of there's no fault codes when you plug a computer in.
Yeah.
I was like, I'll take the risk. But so I you can't hang your hat on them too much. Any pest, get a couple of quotes from Pest and Building.
Yeah.
If it's in a strata apartment building, they're probably useless anyway. There'll be more evidence in the strata minutes.
Yeah, and then probably, Dallin, if you want, you get the building and pest inspection done, and then if you're really concerned, get a qualified active builder to go back through it afterwards.
Yeah. I had a friend, my cousin actually looked at a first home that I was about to buy in your street. It was a unit. I said, "Oh, can you just come around and have a look?" And he goes, "Oh, the roof's rooted." I'm like, sweet, that's all I need to know. This is a showstopper. So, before we get to buying a first home and small business owner and tax, there's a question here. Karen, hey peeps, I'm just curious about a social protocol thing. My partner and I are about to close on our first home. Congratulations. And we're wondering if it's okay to buy a token thank you gift for a couple of people who have gone above and beyond to get the deal across. For reference, we're both ND and I work for a government department that is not allowed to accept even a glass of water. So we're kind of unsure. Any advice would be appreciated. ND. Don't know what, we're both ND. Anyway, I don't know what that is. And they work for a government department. So what I would probably say is, it could be neurodivergent, maybe neurodivergent. Either way, not 100% sure. You're allowed to buy a small gift for someone. It's not the government. So you work for a government department. You're not allowed to accept it, but if the mortgage broker kicked it out of the park, if the building and pest went above and beyond on a Friday afternoon in the rain, you're allowed to do a little dinner voucher, $50, $100, do whatever you want. If in doubt, you can also just do a handwritten card.
Yeah.
Or
an anonymous present rocks up on the person's door.
Thank you for your help.
Yeah.
Anonymous.
Here's a voucher.
You know who this is, maybe. So thanks for that, and congratulations, Karen. Hey, Celeste in finishing said, small business owners and wanting I can't read or I'm having a stroke, home loans, and wonder, I don't know. They're just basically saying, when doing a tax return, would you / did you prioritize maximizing expenses and trying to lower taxable income as much as possible in order to lower tax debt? Or has anyone purposefully left some expenses unclaimed in order to show banks a higher income? What is better and why? Okay, this is interesting. A couple of things here which I understand, Celeste. I know what you're saying, but just for the people who read this in the book and who are listening, the lowering the tax debt, I think you maybe mean lowering the tax liability. That's actually secondary because, and I'll give you an example. When I bought my first home in 1992, right, we had to, because in the ordinary course of business, you'd call Sphere Home Loans and be like, this is the situation. They'll go, okay, send us through your draft financials if you're small business owner. And I've just gone through this myself recently. Sent through the drafts. Yeah, the lenders can get a blow of which way the wind's blowing. Okay. Back when I bought my first home, at the time, the lenders, they literally, and this is why things change all the time, So I was trading through my entity that was owned by my discretionary family trust. They wanted to see taxable income.
Yep.
That's what they were assessing on.
Yep.
Taxable income. So I'll make a number up. If I generated $100,000, I had to pay that $100,000 as Glen as an employee through the business. And that means I would have had to pay the super on top of that, so extra money on top of that. But if I just said, I'm just going to take a director's fee or a distribution as a drawing, it means that Glen's $100,000 income isn't there as income, so I saved money, so I didn't have to pay super on top of that. And then it's just in the trust and it's a discretionary thing. It lands on me anyway.
Yeah.
At the time, we had to do a tax return and put it to bed, so my taxable income was very high to get the loan.
Get it, yep.
Which may have cost me thousands and thousands of dollars extra in personal income tax or extra superannuation contributions.
Yes.
As opposed to drawing it out through my trust. So I believe in this day and age, I think banks and lenders can be a bit more flexible with not being as hardline on that. But I think before you put anything to bed, speak to a mortgage broker and just go, look, this is the situation. And this is the crux of it, Celeste. You show them here are last year's or the last fully completed submitted tax return. Notice of assessment, income tax for me or the company, here's everything completed. We haven't done this year, but here's a draft P&L of what the figures look like. And a good mortgage broker will say, yep, no worries, just put it through the trust, distribution, give it to your other spouse or give $400 to each kid and all that, all good. Or the mortgage broker will say, yeah, look, we can get this across the line, but you're going to have to get them to put it to bed as a employee because this lender for your situation will need to see the notice of assessment that says you earned $100,000.
Yeah. Yeah, I think, Celeste, it's just understanding which one's what's more important in this financial year. Is it getting a home loan or is it reducing your tax? And they're going to be, you're bouncing around with that every year as a business owner, aren't you, essentially? And a lot of, you mentioned before about the flexibility of lenders. Like a lot of lenders will, not a lot, but some lenders will lend to you even though your actual personal income might be low, but your business income's high. I mean, when you look at it realistically, your company tax is 30%. The minute you go over,
it's actually less.
Or 28 or something, isn't it?
Well, 25.
25 plus Medicare and not Medicare. Sorry, I think anyway, it's let's call it 30 for worst case, right? You as soon as you start earning over $80,000, you're in the 32 bracket in your personal. So that's where that threshold is. If you can get a loan earning $80,000, unbelievable. If you can show that your business is giving the profit, and that's where maybe the business owners have the occasional win, is they don't have to show as high a tax return as someone else that hasn't got the business. But yeah, as you mentioned, good mortgage broker, good tax accountant, and they're not maybe chatting to each other, but you're working with them concurrently at the same time so that you don't go too far down one way and you can't come back the other way.
And I'll add to that, but just the HO website, base rate, entity, company tax rate from the 2021-22 income year onwards. Companies that are base rate entities must apply the 25% company tax rate. It was previously 27.5%, and then 26 before. And it's basically you've got to turn over less than the aggregated turnover is 25 million for 17-18 income year and 50 million for 18-19. So
you've just scraped in.
Yeah, but this is the thing, right? A lot of it will come down to what your entity is.
Yes.
If there's PSI involved, you know what that is? Personal service income?
No.
Okay, so let's do a scenario in finishing, because I said you could go in 5 minutes ago.
Thanks,
but
teacher.
we're over time. Sorry, Johnny. You've been a good boy, though, and well behaved.
You're saying entity for lending or for tax?
Entity for tax and asset protection, for example.
Yeah, okay. But
So-
also tax for entity for lending as well.
Just bring that mic a bit closer. Yeah.
A lending as well.
Yes, but this is where it can get complicated. So we'll use a scenario. You and Amy have a business that's in a discretionary family trust, right? And you're the main person in the business. You employ 12 people. There's money generated. You aren't the key person. So when that money goes through the trust, you can distribute it. You can put 100 grand on Amy's tax return, discretionary. You can put 100
Yep.
on yours, pay less tax that way. If it was just you were John Pidgeon Consulting,
Sole
working
trader.
out of a trust. No, working out of trust.
Out of trust, yep.
But the personal servicing, I was like, I think it's over 90% of the income generated was from John Pidgeon personal.
individual.
You were a consultant. You couldn't say, okay, we've earned 200 grand. You couldn't dump 100 on Amy and
Someone
100 on
else.
you
Yeah.
because the PSI gets you.
Yeah.
So in that regard, it doesn't really matter. Now, if we've got a company, it's also different. Do we pay 30%, that's 25% tax inside the company and pay a director's fee or dividend?
Yeah.
Pretty much all roads lead to Rome when it comes to tax. You might get the 25% tax rate, but the money's in the company. You got to get the money out of the company, and it's going to come out through a dividend, tax paid or untaxed paid. It's going to come out as a director fee, which means it will land on your own personal.
Yeah.
It could be a salary or wage. So I think the question is, you need a really good mortgage broker. You really need to know what your company structure is, and then you make the judgment call. If it was, we've got this trust set up and all this stuff, and yeah, because I'm the key person or the property's got to be in my name, I can't distribute 100 grand to Amy this year. We've got to put a full 200 on my personal tax return.
Yeah.
Bingo. You're paying an extra 60 grand tax that financial year if you want this lending
To
at
get
this
the
rate.
property or whatever it is that you're lending. Yep.
So I hope that
Confused you?
confused everyone. So, yeah, we will leave it there.
That's a wrap.
You've been awesome, John, as per. Anything you wanted to say in finishing? Actually, in finishing, if you're watching on YouTube, this book, the Sort Your Property Out book and Build Your Future, this version of the book's got a red logo at the top that says AFL
Alert.
Players. It's got a Players Special Edition. It's introduced by Paul Marsh, the CEO of the AFL Players Association. There's some testimonies in the front, a letter from you to AFL players. There's some testimonies from current and former AFL players. Finn Callaghan, does he play AFL?
It does. GWS Giants.
Dane Rampe.
Rampy, yes.
Rampy.
Sydney Swans. Your knowledge of AFL's improving.
It really is. Kyle Langford, is he a current
He's
player?
a bomber.
Dylan Shield.
He's also another bomber.
Have I met him?
You have, I think.
Yeah,
Yes.
ran into him somewhere. And Nick Natau.
Nat Nui.
Nat Nui.
For the WA people.
So they're all current players
Yes.
on the main game.
Yes, they are.
And they've been
Sorry, Nick Nat's not. He's retired.
and they've
probably.
been past or current clients of yours.
They've either been clients of mine or still are, or read the book.
Yeah. So no one can buy this book, can they?
They cannot. No.
Talk to us about the version of Sort Your Property Out that you did for the AFL players.
Yeah, so the AFL Players Association, very passionate about education, and we do financial wellness workshops for them in the property space at each of the clubs, and they were keen to get, well, it was a joint initiative to get the book into every hands every set of hands for every player that got drafted in the 2024 draft. So
Yeah.
we went to the draft induction day in January and handed them out. So whether they read it or use as
Monitor stand.
lever the table out is up to them. But in any case,
Yeah.
yeah, good stuff.
Sweet. Well, thanks, John, and thanks everyone for listening today. Bye. Thanks for listening to today's podcast. If you want to support us, there is one way you can do that. You can send the episode to a friend, a family member, or your group chat if you think those people would find it valuable. We also thank you for leaving a review on Apple or Spotify. If you've listened to this podcast for some time, or if you've read any of my books, you would know that giving and generosity in a financial sense is a big thing in my life. If you think it's time that you are ready to give financially to a good cause, you could head to our website, moneypodcast.com.au/charities to see the charities that we support.
Any advice is general financial advice only, which does not take into account your objectives, financial situation, or needs. Because of that, you should consider if the advice is appropriate to you and your needs before acting on the information. If you do choose to buy a financial product, read the Product Disclosure Statement, PDS, and Target Market Determination, TMD, and obtain appropriate financial advice tailored to your needs. Simo Interactive Pty Ltd, the publisher of this podcast, and Glen James are authorised representatives of Money Sherpa Pty Ltd, which holds Financial Services License 451289. Opinions or comments from any guests on the podcast are theirs and not those of the host or the publisher or their respective license holders.